understand who Jesus is from the miraculous point of view, from the miracles that he performed while he was on this earth. And I will start with them and go as far as the program will allow for us to go. Of Jesus in chronological order. Miracles. Water made into wine, John 2:1 through 11. He heals the nobleman's son, John chapter 4, verses 46 through 54. A drought of fishes. He brought up a big net of fishes in Luke 5:11 through 11. He heals the man that was full of demons, the demoniac. Mark, the book of Mark, chapter 1, verses 23 through 26. He heals Peter's mother-in-law of a fever. Matthew 8:14 through 17. He cleanses the leper. Leprosy was an incurable disease. It caused you to lose limbs and fingers and lips and ears and eventually killed you. He cleansed the leper, meaning he healed the leper. They used to have to call themselves unclean so people wouldn't come near them. They lived in colonies. Matthew 8, chapter 8, verses 1 through 4. He healed a paralytic, a man that could not walk. Matthew 9, 1 through 8. He healed the impotent man, the man that could not have a child. John, the book of John, 5, verse 5. Chapter 5, verse 1 through 16. He restored the withered hand. There was a man that had a withered hand, and he made him stretch his hand out and made it whole. Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 12, 9 through 13. He restored the centurion's servant who was sick, who did not even let Jesus visit his home because he was such a sinful man and he had people under him, and he was a military man. But he regarded Jesus with such esteem that he did not want Jesus to have to subject himself into going into that situation. So he restored the centurion's servant to good health. Matthew, chapter 8, verse 5 through 13. He raised his widow's son to life. Luke 7, chapter 7, verses 11 through 16. He brought the widow's son back to life. Do you understand the significance of that? The person was dead, but yet he restored him back to life. He stilled the tempest. Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27. He cast the devils out of two men of Gadara. Matthew 8, chapter 8, verses 28 through 34. He raised from the dead the daughter of Jairus, the girl that everyone had laughed him to scorn and told him that he couldn't do it. And he put them all out of the house, and he raised her from the dead. They all knew death back then. They knew death better than we know it. But yet Jesus put them out, and he raised her back to life. He cured a woman with the issue of blood. She had spent every dollar she had with the doctors and the physicians. For 12 long years she had this condition. But yet she had faith in her heart. And she saw him in a crowd of people. And she says, if I may just touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. And she reached out and finally was able to do so. And immediately Jesus perceived that power had left his body and had gone into someone, and he stopped immediately and asked who it was. And this woman came to him, and he told her, he says, daughter, your faith has made you whole. He restored 2 men that were blind. He restored them to sight. Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verses 27 through 31. He healed a demoniac again. Matthew 9, chapter 9, verse 32-33. He fed 5,000 people. He could transmute matter. He fed 5,000 people in Matthew verses 14 through 14, chapter 14, 15 through 21. He walked on the water, the Sea of Galilee. Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. He healed a daughter of the Syrophoenician woman, a woman that was not even a Jew. He said he was sent to the house of Judah to save that which was lost. He was not sent to the Gentiles. However, she was considered to be a Gentile and one of the lowest of the Gentiles. But yet she approached him, and Jesus perceived in her heart that there was faith, and she says that even the dogs eat from the crumbs under the bread of the table of their masters. And she impressed Jesus to the point to where he healed her daughter. He fed 4,000 people in Matthew chapter 15, verse 32 through 39. He restored one deaf and dumb person, Mark 7, verse 31 through 37. I don't think all the books in the world could contain the Bible if they were all written. If they were all recorded, I don't think that there is a way that all these, and even more so, would be recorded. He restored a blind man in Mark 8, verse 22-26. He restored a lunatic child that was throwing herself into the fire, Matthew 17, chapter 17, 14, verses 14 through 21. Tribute money was obtained from a fish's mouth. The Pharisees were trying to trap Jesus into paying taxes, and says, who does this money belong to, God or Caesar? He says, render unto God what is God, and what is Caesar's, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. So then he went down and got a fish, opened his mouth, took a coin out, and paid the tax collector. That showed absolute knowledge of everything. He restored 10 lepers in Luke chapter 17, verses 11 through 19. He opened the eyes of a man born blind on chapter 9 of John. He raised Lazarus from the dead, who had been dead for 3 days, and decomposition had started taking over. But yet Jesus knew about it the first day. Jesus did not make a move because he wanted God's power to be demonstrated for those people, to show them that he had power even over that condition. And that was in John chapter 11, verses 1 through 46. He healed a woman with the spirit of infirmity, and that goes again with a woman with this spirit of the issue of blood. Cured a man with dropsy. Dropsy was a condition where the man kept passing out. In Luke 14, verse 1 through 6. He cursed a fig tree because it was not doing what it should have been doing. It should have been producing fruit, but yet it wasn't. So therefore, Jesus cursed it, so it would not produce fruit anymore, and it withered the next day. He healed the ear of Malchus. This was the night that Jesus was arrested and betrayed by Judas, and Peter slew the priest, one of the guards of the priest, and cut off his ear, and Jesus picked the ear back up and reimplanted it back onto the man. And the very concept of Jesus not being a man of miracles and this world not being a world of miracles is absolutely ludicrous. Jesus did this and more, far more. But the biggest miracle he ever did was he saved our souls. So do not look at this lightly. This is very, very serious. Unless you want to spend an eternity away from him and you want to spend an eternity into a place of eternal punishment and eternal darkness and eternal separation from God, then turn the other way. Else, turn to Jesus. He says, I set beside you life and death, choose life. So therefore choose life. And what would it do to God if he gave all of this to us, and we treated it so lightly that we just kind of like just flippantly just turned away from it. It would be like a slap in the face. He gave his most precious gift, his son, Jesus Christ, who died for us on Calvary's cross willingly so that we would be able to enjoy eternal life. This is Dan Beasley, bidding you a good day today, a good and godly day, and hoping that you will join us tomorrow for our next episode of the Dan Beasley Show. Thank you and have a good day.